In designing, we really wanted a trip, something that we could all load into a vehicle and make a great American road trip. As we discussed what that meant, it really focused more and more in where are we going. A tight focus on how it also affects the way that we express who we are. We see patterns that speak to us and through which we can describe ourselves and our experience. So this idea of traveling on the land that made us became a central focus for Bullard, Amy, and myself as we tried to craft a usable experience for the students.
When we were there in the landscape, we got to see really like how the culture and the traditions transformed into details in the landscape, and there was all kinds of details that you would miss unless you dug in, and there was all kinds of stories that you miss unless you interacted. I wanted the students to dig in and question what they were seeing, and question why things weren't being repaired, and question why there was this stripping away of the land, and question why there was nobody out in the middle of these spaces. And I think the students, they got to dive into this culture, this ancient culture that was still standing to this day.
There's so much more out there than like the marshes and the ESA like bumpy roads. There's huge canyons, there's desert, there's people with stories that we would never know about unless we asked. Really brave of us to do that and go and kind of impose in people's culture, but they also want us to know. So bringing it back here and spreading it is helping them pass along their story.
I think the Southwest trip really made me get out of my comfort zone and took me to places I never knew I would have wanted to go in the first place. I also think spending 8 hours a day with your classmates just become closer in that way, and I'm really thankful for that experience. I don't think I could have gotten that anywhere else.
When I first was going on the Southwest trip, I was really scared because I didn't know anybody really. And so I was like, well, they're gonna all group up together and I'm just gonna be alone because I didn't talk to you at the time. And then when we all got there, the trip kind of like brought us together because we were in such close quarters for 2 weeks. And I just thought that was really cool.
What really struck me on this trip was sort of the art that we saw. But what I hadn't really realized was the way that, you know, this inhospitable land that just sort of constantly got the short end of the stick. The people are constantly ignored, the land is constantly exploited, how that environment sort of could produce a culture that really appreciated art.